Hi guys, sorry. What are you doing there? Okay, seeing as it's switched on, I might as well make a video. Be quiet. Just in case they bark at that lady with the baby and then makes the baby drop. I always think of these bad things. Maybe leave that door open for that lady. An old lady, let her walk by. Oh, I was going to let that younger lady pass by, but she didn't look. Yeah, so today's video. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the stabbing. Was it Huntingdon on the train? It was going to was it Coventry to London or anyway? Yeah, terrible incident. At the time, was it last night? They were saying that there were 10 people stabbed, 9 were critical. Now it's gone down to 2, I think, critical. And so there were 2 people they thought were the perpetrators, but then I think now they've taken one person out of the investigation. They're not involved. So there's one person. This person was basically stabbing people, slashing people on the train. And it was a black guy, I think 32 or 35, 32 years of age. And one woman, I think she fell, and he was on top of her or about to stab her. And he was saying something about devils, like the devil's not going to win. And he was saying that to someone else as well, whilst he was stabbing. And I'm not sure if it's a racially motivated crime or, mental health problems again. I say that because, sometimes I look online and the more militant black guys, they talk about white people being devils. We're called devils. I'm not sure if it's a biblical thing. That they come from Ham or something like that, one of the tribes of Israel, and we're basically, we're devils. For some reason they call us devils. So it could be one of those like militant blacks, or was listening to one of these, one of their sermons, racist sermons. And it does happen. It happened in China. You have all the propaganda, all our countries, they spew out, or the media spews out propaganda against another country. So at the time in Beijing, this is years ago, 2003 or 2004, something like that, or was it 2005? Around about maybe that period, or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, as they do, Chinese media will say bad stuff about Americans. And this guy took it upon himself to kill an American. So he came out with a sword and he killed the first American that he can find. So he attacked the first white person that he can find. The guy was French, wasn't even American. And he was the tragedy was that he killed the Chinese woman instead, the French man's wife. They apparently, if I'm not mistaken, they were married that day. Poor woman. Right, he got out of the way, the French guy, but she couldn't. And there's pictures of him, she's lying down in a pool of blood. And the guy's just standing there, and the police came, probably in jail now. Yeah, for sure, he's in jail. They're not that lenient in China. So, the media can, or nowadays, you've got the internet, YouTube, can stir people up. And so I'm going to be careful what I say, because believe it or not, even a person like me, I'm an influencer. I can't even influence my dogs. So, but people listen to me, and I get some people saying that I'm addicted or invested in you, and it's a nice thing, but it's not a nice thing, because you become kind of you have that responsibility. So I'm going to try and not say anything inflammatory, anything that, when I talk about black guys, I don't want anyone to see black guys as all the same. And even those ones that are part of that demographic, 18 to 40 or whatever, young men, who do commit crime, even those guys, it doesn't mean that those guys will commit a crime against you. So I don't know what to say. Best thing is love, love each other. Let's not fight. But without going into the politics of this, this left-wing government or that right-wing government, is their fault for allowing so many illegal immigrants in. Well, this guy is not an illegal immigrant. He's a British national. He's a black guy, and I mean, some people wouldn't consider him English, of course, or British. Yeah, probably doesn't. He's a black guy, and maybe he likes his own kind, which is great. But he probably maybe doesn't like white people, And as I said, been brainwashed, as we all been brainwashed. I used to have certain ideas about blacks, Jews, Muslim, Pakistani, whatever, and you get these views online. You hear people say things, and you think, oh yeah, that group is really bad. They're terrible. And of course, there are people in that group, in our group, whites, Italians, or whatever, that are bad. It's true. But I don't know, it's dangerous, isn't it, to tar everybody with the same brush. All Jews have got money. Not all Jews have got money. You can't say anything against what happened in WW2. But there's one guy, David Cole. He's a brave Jewish guy. He actually questioned what happened, and he questioned the figure. I'm not going to mention that figure in case I'm in trouble, but he questioned it. He questioned the method of extermination or whatever. He questioned these things on Donahue. It's an old program. You just look up Donahue and David Cole. After that time, there was a hit on his head, a hit placed on him, and he went into hiding for about 20 years. He became an alcoholic, and because they classed him as a self-hating J word. So not all J people think the same way. Some right wing, some are left wing. They think differently towards what's happening in Palestine. Some actually demonstrate against it. So as we say in English, it takes all sorts. So what's my point? My point is that not all black guys are the same. Some are Somalian, some are West Indian, some are African. I assume this guy was born here, he's West Indian, okay? Maybe he had mental health problems. And, what you could say, and you probably get in trouble for saying it, is that maybe in the black community, there is more, higher incidence of mental health. And I'm not saying it to put anyone down, because I have mental health problems, But what I'm saying is maybe if there was a study to show that there's more mental health difficulties in the black community, maybe especially among men have got more pressure, to be a man and all that, and to go out and work. You know, I can understand, right? Because it was difficult. I have mental health problems. I haven't worked in years. Everything I try has failed because I've got ADHD, depression, anxiety. It's difficult to hold down a job or hold down a relationship, you know, and you're impulsive. You have all this kind of stuff. You know, if I was black, someone might say, "Oh, it's because he's black." You know, blacks are lazy or whatever. Maybe it's not. I know I'm not lazy, but I couldn't do it. You know, so what if the black community, like these black guys, there's a higher incidence of crime, maybe because there's a higher incidence of mental health problems, and it looks like they're lazy. Of course, they're violent and aggressive because some people might have some forms of schizophrenia that will, not all schizophrenia is like this, but some that will send them over the edge, you know. And then add on top of that the brainwashing that they get from the media and other people in their community, you know. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is what happened. You know, this guy just started stabbing a whole train of white people, I assume, all white. And there could be like a racial component, like, and if there is, it's not because all black people hate whites. It's because maybe there's a higher incidence of. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm just saying it could be like this, you know. It could be a higher incidence of mental health problems, you know. And that's fine, because once you know the problem or the issue, either they can get medication, or have therapy, you know, talking therapy, or, you know, once a person knows they've got a mental health problem, like half the battle's won, because then you say, okay, well, I'm not crazy, I'm not a bad person, and it's not my fault that I feel this way, but here's what I can do to fix it. Here's what I can do to cope, you know. So I'm wondering, you know, maybe it's not politically correct to say it, but I would say it if I'm Italian, or whatever I am, but let's say Italians like had a higher incidence of mental health problems. I would want people to say, I would want people to know and say, oh, okay, you know, it'd end up calling us crazy Italians, but at least we would know. And then as an Italian person, I would do something about it. I would say, okay, this is my problem. See, now I've had ADHD, the ADHD assessment, and I passed. Now I know why I've had this bloody time blindness. Now I know why I'm impulsive. Now I know why people talk to me. It goes in one ear and goes out the other. You know, I don't allow people to finish their sentences. It's not because I'm rude, it's because I'm excited. Now I know why I need teas or sex or a cake or something to give me that dopamine hit. So everything kind of falls into place. Whereas if you don't know, you think, yeah, I am lazy, I am bad, you know, and it's those whites that made me bad, you know, or whatever. You know, they believe in all that. They focus on all that. Well, for thousands of years we've been oppressed. We need our DEI, equity and inclusion now. We want them reparations now. But maybe if they realise that there's nothing wrong with white people or black, just stop thinking in terms of bloody race all the time. And the racists are the ones that are always talking about race. You're talking about it now, I know. I'm a good racist anyway. There ain't no good racist. The only good racist is a dead one. There's so many racists on this planet. Those people are like, you know, those lefties who live in states or live in live in the Anglosphere. They're like, you know, the frog in the well, that they don't realize until the frog jumps out of the well, you know, and then realizes, oh shit, it's very different out here in the big world. They jump back into the well and they say, well, okay, at least here I feel safe. All these lefties, they wouldn't feel safe. Even black guys who buy into all this stuff, because the world out there is mean, you know, or maybe not mean. It's just the way things are. And people in those Arab countries and China and not Africa, you know, like India, Pakistan, Middle East. You think they're not racist? Bloody hell. Racist? That's why these guys don't know what racism means until they go there. Going to China, Japan, all these places, it's just like stepping back into the 1970s. It's good for whites. Well, initially it was. Now people are fed up with even whites. It's not a good place for women, white women, black women. You know, I don't know what it's like now, but they used to say it's hell for women, white women, and heaven for white men. Anyway, that's my rant over. So what's the point of this video? Oh, right, here's the point. I'm coming to it. Let's forget about the politics of why. Some people might say immigration, but in this case, well, it could still be immigration, because immigration of like for 20, 30 years or whatever. If he's 32, he might have come from an African country or whatever. Or his parents may have been from the Windrush generation, you know. Could be just mental health, but you know, the right will say one thing and the left will say, well, no, it's not his fault, it's us white people because we're racist. There's institutional racism. You know, we should have done more. We should have helped this guy get work, and you know, stop being so selfish and thinking about ourselves. You know, both of them could be right. The left wing, they could be partly right. I don't agree that it's all our fault. You know, this massive white guilt, I hate it. No country on the planet has this guilt. Sorry, no race has this guilt apart from whites. And it's all thrust upon us. It's all planned. So I don't, you know, like the Chinese have no guilt. The Africans, people in the Middle East, Indians have no guilt at all. Each country, each race has raped, has enslaved people. You know, the Arabs enslaved whites. Chinese enslaved people. You know, like the black people enslaved their own kind. You know, so every race, every culture, every country, you know, in the world, every continent, there's been slavery, there's been abuse. You know, it's only whites that have to suffer and say, "Hey, you're racist." You know, all these special words, racist, sexist. But you know, you go to China, like a man beating up a woman in the street, he's not racist. No, it's just part of their culture. Walk along, there's nothing to fucking see. A white man whistles to a woman, a sexy woman, like with those fucking leotards, you know, ass moving, blah, 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 and he finds her attractive. He can fucking get stopped by the police. Apparently, they that's what the police did. They got dressed up, you know, with their bums all nice, a round one, not those big, massive ones. And police women dressed up. It's not fair, is it? Like a trap. And these men whistled. I can't whistle. Or whatever. They got caught they came back and they said you could be arrested for that. They scolded them. It's an arrestable offence. Fucking hell. It's amazing, isn't it? Like these guys that come from Afghanistan who actually do grape. One a woman lawyer said like you should be lenient because it's kind of acceptable in their country, this behavior. And our for whites, if they whistle, they could be fucking arrested. Talk about two-tier steer. Yeah, that's steer. What's his name? Steer Karma. What's his name? Steve Karma. Is it Steer Karma? I didn't know he was Jewish. That says it all. I've got it was on YouTube. He was saying, I've got Jewish family members. He said, I'm not a Zionist, but I do understand. Fucking says it all. Bastard. Communist bastard. Anyway, yeah, I didn't know. Well, I know it now. And so do you. Look it up. So the point is, forget about all this politics stuff. I may not buy into what the left say about white guilt and stuff like that. As long as they don't talk about white guilt, it's our fault, then we're okay. I will agree with the left. Help these guys, whoever's got mental health problems and is committing crime, ask them why they're committing crime. Have psychotherapy, take some medication, and look after these people. They're human beings. Look after them and make sure they don't commit crime anymore. Some of them, the fraction that will say, look, I'm still going to commit crime and kill people, then they have to be locked up, unfortunately. That's the way it is. You don't want any innocent people, children, men, women, elderly, being like slashed and decapitated or whatever it is they do. So forget about the politics. What do we do now? So people on that train, they couldn't protect themselves. You're not even allowed to have a pepper spray, one of those electric stun guns, nothing. And apparently, like, there was a few men, and I think a woman, a group of 6, they ran towards the end of the carriage and cowered down. And between them, they had one bottle of scotch, was it whiskey, to protect themselves. That's all they had. This guy could have had a machete. They would have been hacked. I mean, in that situation, you've got numbers, you've got 6 people. You could easily outnumber him, because 6 people, that's 12 arms, 12 legs. You're basically one man fighting against an octopus. But the thing is, who's going to go there first to take the strike? As soon as somebody strikes you with a machete, this arm's coming off. So, hacks once, hacks twice, you're dead. So there is a way to fight against the machete, but would you do that? If you're in a corner, I suppose, if you're stuck in a corner, you will fight back. You have to. But even if it's a kitchen knife is just as deadly, especially in an enclosed area, because the smaller the knife, the less chance it has to hit against other objects. So if you've got a machete, it's going to hit against the ceiling, the sides, a chair. If you've got a comparatively small kitchen knife, then you could just thrust. I don't know. But people have to learn how to defend themselves. Even, God forbid, wear a stab-proof vest. One of those, I was thinking of making one of those when I was living in China. The is it chainmail? It's called chainmail. And a knife wouldn't be able to go through that. It wouldn't be able to go through. And so you'd have to, where you get killed is mainly it's the neck. Human beings are head hunters. They either try to knock you out or punch your head or stab you in your face or your neck. that would kill you. So you'd have to have something to protect your neck, something made of plastic, see-through. So, and have a helmet, have a hat, but like a helmet, so a knife can't go through there. You know, somebody could still stab your eye, I suppose, and can enter the brain. But at least if you have these covered, and you've got your hands here, you know, you can defend yourself. And as soon as somebody comes in with a knife, you know, you'd have to know how to defend yourself. It depends on the situation. But that's what people need to do. They need to learn how to defend themselves. And because it's no good saying, oh, you know, people just have to carry, I don't know, a baseball bat, pepper spray, a knife, a gun. You have to draw the weapon. Even if you have a gun, you have to learn how to draw the... I assume, I don't have a gun. I've never... But I know about self-defense. You have to be quick on the draw. You have to know how to, you know, if there's a safety on, you have to know how to take it off quickly and under stress, and then shoot. Shoot. If it comes to if you've got a knife or something, you have to know how to draw, how to, it's concealed, how to take it out from its concealed position, and be ready to defend yourself under stress. And you see, what you're doing is you're playing catch up, because the criminal has the knife or has the weapon in his or her hand and is coming towards you. You don't have the luxury of time. As I said, you're playing catch up. So even if you had a gun, if a person was, I think it's 21 feet away from you and has a knife and is running towards you, you don't have time to even if you have a gun, to take it from its holster and shoot 2 rounds in center mass, you know, in the center of the body. So if the person is like 10 feet away, the person starts to run towards you. As you go here, the person will be on top of you when you're about here. You're dead. You're dead. The knife will come here whilst you're worried about taking this bloody gun out. Unless you can draw really fast. But it applies to any weapon. You know, that's why if you know how to defend yourself, and your hands, your brain is the weapon, your hands, your body is the weapon, you know how to defend yourself, then you have weapons at hand, literally at hand, instead of having to try and find, where's the hammer in my purse, in my bag? By the time you've taken that fucking hammer out, you're dead. The person's knocked you out. So criminals have the advantage of surprise, and the advantage of starting to commit the act, and you are overwhelmed. So as I said, you're playing catch up. You're overwhelmed. So you have all these factors against you. So I think people in this situation, if they knew how to defend themselves, they would have been ready and ready to fight. You know, but nobody's, even I'm not ready to fight against a madman, somebody who's got a knife and wants to kill you because of your race or because your gender or whatever. For whatever, they wants to kill you because you fall into a group that they hate. You know. So, what can you do? All you can do is fight. And when you fight, make sure you're more crazy than that person thinks he is. And make sure that if you go down, then he's going to hell as well. You go down, but he's coming with me. That's the kind of attitude you must have, because you're going down, you're going to die, and he's going to die as well. So if somebody comes, what I'd say is, if somebody comes at you with a knife and you have the luxury of seeing the person coming, okay, he's not behind you, that's why you have to be always aware. Attention is really important. Awareness is really important. You know, 12 o'clock, what is it? 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, look everywhere, you know. But with ADHD, I have this awareness too much. So if you have the luxury of seeing someone come towards you, you don't have time to get any weapon, and you don't know how long the knife is. It could be a sword this long, or it could be a small knife. You know, when you see, you know, when you watch these self-defense videos and stuff like that in these demonstrations, you see bad man here and the good person here and the evil one here. He's got a sword this long, so he does something, or you know, and he avoids it this way, and you can see the length, but it's all bullshit. Because when a man is standing in front of you, okay, and wanted to hurt you, so how can I show you? How can I show you? You see this? You see how long it is? It's short, isn't it? But if I point it this way, you don't know how long it is. And so a man is coming towards you with a knife, right? A knife like this, in the kind of in this stabbing motion. You know, there's a few ways you can hold this way or this way. You have more power this way. So this way, you know it's short, right? But this way you can't see, and it's coming towards you really. You don't know when to react. You don't know whether to wait till it's about here and then block if it was small. But if it's long, it's already pierced your neck or your face, your head. So it's difficult to gauge, isn't it? So the first thing you have to see is look at the hands, if they're holding something. If it looks like they're holding something, try and gauge how long it is. And obviously keep away, keep your distance. And just assume the knife is longer than you think. So assume this is coming at you. You think, it's just a small thing. I'll wait and just block it like this and attack. No, you assume this fucking thing is that long, okay? So as soon as you see someone raising their hand to do something, you quickly move and you preempt that movement. But obviously they can, I mean, if they're good at fighting, they can feint. So they can feint one way and attack somewhere else. That's when I would say just go in and overwhelm that person. You don't stand here and let a man plan on you. No fucking way. Even if a man is in front of you and they're saying all this stuff, you know, who do you think you are? You know, I don't know, the interview technique, right? They interview you, but basically they're preparing to hit you. You can tell when someone is really agitated when they're going to hit you, because they keep saying the same thing again and again. You think you're bad. You think you're bad. You think it. You know, they'll say the same thing again and again and again, because the blood from the frontal cortex is moving to the kind of reptilian brain, as they call it, you know. And you can't make any mathematical equations or fine motor skills go out the window, and gross motor skills kick in, but language is also affected. You know, when you're fighting, you can't recite the poem, or you know what I mean. I would say don't just stand there and let a man plan on you, because you're standing here. He realizes, even if he turns away, and he places you there in space and time, and then he can knock you out or do whatever. But if you're a moving target, and also if you talk like Italian people, you have with your hands here. Hey, sorry, look, I don't mean any trouble. You know, just just keep moving around. Be evasive. Be really evasive. Say, sorry, man, and move backwards, move forward. You know, don't be a moving target. As I said, don't let a man plan on you. Don't fucking trust anyone. Watch where the hands are. If he's got a hand behind his back, then you assume he's got a fucking weapon. Some people, though, they bluff. They go, I'm gonna fucking, you know, they've got nothing. But You can't take that risk. So my point for this video is, I don't care if he's black, white, purple, whatever. I don't care left wing, right wing, bollocks. All I care about is the fact that these people who have mental health problems, or people who are brainwashed by the media, left and right, you know, might take it into their own hands, you know, they might take offense at some group or whatever, and I don't know, and might attack. So we have to, all of us, black, white, or whatever, purple, we have to know how to defend ourselves, you know. Women as well, you have to learn how to defend yourself, you know. Forget all this left-wing bollocks, you know, like, have a man with you, or a dog or something. Go back to being that traditional wife or traditional girlfriend. Have some men around you if you don't want to fight. I don't blame you, you know, I'm quite feminine myself. I don't want to fight. Look at these hands. These hands are not those big, like, Irish builder's hands. They're like artist hand. Look at that. That's an artist hand. It's small. Somebody was commenting, you got small hands. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it. Yeah, so I've got small hands, but they're artist hands. You know, I'm just trying not to be rude, okay? Yeah. Anyway, so that's what the video was about. I was just thinking about, forget about the politics. You know, people are saying, "Oh, what color was he?" Okay, why do you have to know the color? And people fighting from the left and the right. Not forget about what color he was. Okay, he was a black guy. Oh, okay, he hates white people, for example. Oh, okay, maybe he had mental health problems. It doesn't matter. For the person who gets stabbed and killed, it doesn't matter. What matters is, how do you defend yourself in that situation? Because the government isn't going to defend you. You know, not prick, but some guy was saying, you know, on the GB News. Yeah, I don't watch GB News all the time. Every once in a while, he's a police officer who's going, "Well, enough is enough. What we need now." Some Cockney bloke. He was saying, if you had police stationed in every train, what the fuck would have happened? Someone could still stab someone at the end of the train. You can have, what, a police officer on every fucking carriage. And they'll do it somewhere where there's no police officers. You don't have enough police officers, you know? And it's the wrong message, you know. Police officers are responders most of the time. They respond to crime once it's already happened, or they're a deterrent. They're not there as soon as someone starts being stabbed. Oh yeah, quick, the policeman is going to save you. No, you have to fucking save yourself. As I said, they're responders. They arrive when the crime has been already committed. Criminals are not stupid. You know, even those ones who are crazy, they're not going to commit crime where the police are. You know, that's the whole reason. But you can't have the police everywhere. You know, maybe if everyone had a gun, like in the States, you know, these crimes wouldn't happen. You'd have an old lady with a 44 Magnum. I'm gonna blow his brains out. Could you imagine? And the guy was just asking for a girl's number. The black guy was asking for a girl's number, and she misunderstood. Oh, boy, he's trying to mug her. Yeah, that would be dangerous in the UK if all of us had guns. Bloody hell! I tell you, the population would reduce by a fair amount, especially in those black areas. You know, it's just like in Chicago, or no, not just like, but it'll be like that. You know, there'll be those turf wars, those gang wars, that do with drugs and stuff like that. Mind you, criminals do have guns anyway, but it'll be much worse. Imagine if Joe Bloggs, if anyone can have a gun, there'll be lots of guns being bought, I'll tell you that. I'll buy a machine gun. One of those bazookas. It'll go out the wrong way. Yeah, so, yeah, it's sad. I think there's still one guy. Is it one person or two people? I think it's one person no, two people, either one or two, are still in critical condition. So I think, send that guy, I think it's a guy, good vibes and prayers for him and his family who are, going through this. And yeah, I suppose we'll see what the reason was. Probably mental health and nothing to do with the fact that the person's black. Or maybe it is, indirectly, brainwashed by, when it's acceptable to put white people down all the time, then obviously somebody who's a bit not quite there might buy all that stuff and, see us as enemies, evil whitey, Anyway, I'll speak to you guys in the next video. The dogs have seen the chickens. Here we go. Stop it. Oh, it's Salvatore, my son. I better go now and sort things out. Yeah, so what do you guys think about this case? It's horrible, isn't it? Guy on the train just decides to stab people and slash them, It's getting out of control. Luckily, I don't take the train or anything. I take the car, and I've got at least 3 German Shepherds with me. No one's going to get near my car and start, even if they've got a fucking machete. Even a gang of them. And remember, a car is also a weapon. If a gang of guys wanted to kill me for some reason, unless they have a gun, they need a machine gun. Because as you're driving away, you could accidentally drive over their feet. Not because you wanted to do that, obviously. No, never want to do that. But because they're in the way, you're just trying to drive out of the way, and they jump on your car or whatever. You drive off, and they get splattered. Not because you mean to do it, but just trying to. You're afraid. Anyway, I think I said too much as usual. So I think I want to talk about more spiritual things, because now I think I will go into hibernation soon and talk about things, more spiritual, to do with religion, with Jesus, philosophy, things like that, alchemy. Probably won't show my face, so my lefties will be all happy, and but then my subscribers won't, and they'll unsubscribe. Oh well, I'm just rambling, If I offend anyone, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of black guys that like what I'm saying. It's funny, isn't it? Like, black guys don't mind. You might get the odd one, but it's white guys that feel offended for them. Full of white guilt. They've got so much white guilt is coming out of their ears and nose, and I tell you, you guys with all that white guilt, you think black people like you? Nope. They don't think much of you. They think that you're weak and you're a traitor to your own tribe. Deep down, that's what a lot of black guys think. What kind of person would go against their own family, their own tribe, or their own people? And that makes sense, because if you go against your own people, you definitely will go against, when push comes to shove, you'll go against anyone, against them as well. And I do understand the lefty way of thinking, the equality, egalitarianism, or whatever. But you have to understand, where does all that bullshit come from? It comes from communism. It's there as a virus. It's a tool. It's a Trojan horse in order to destroy culture. Cultural Marxism, wokery, all this kind of stuff. And I could have been brainwashed with that stuff as well. If I went to school or university, in the last 20 years or whatever, I could have, because deep down we just want to do good. But Like all those lefties, they want to do good. They think what they're doing is good, and they want to do good. They want everyone to be equal. They want to, they buy into the whitey bad, and black guys are victims. But we should just treat each other as human beings, and not enemies all the time. Black people are not victims all the time. There's many, because on the left they feel that even the black guys, for example, or I don't know, Pakistani or whatever, those Muslim ones that commit crime, even though they're predators, they're still victims of the system. So it's almost like it's our fault that they've raped or murdered or whatever. So that's a crazy way of thinking. But some people are so brainwashed, they believe in all that. Are they right? Who knows? They might be right. I might be completely bloody wrong. So I have to just shut up. I have to go into hibernation now and stop all this ranting. It's not getting me anywhere anyway. 34 quid this month. I can't even, with 34 quid, I can't even buy food for the dogs for 1 week. So I think I'm going to do more polished videos about philosophy and actually I've got that meditation channel. So if you feel like relaxing, let's not talk about this stuff anymore. Let's all be brothers and sisters, and let's talk about philosophy and transcendence and relax, because relaxation is really important, to reduce anxiety. And now that I'm coming off medication, I do get those periods where I feel really anxious for not for no reason. For brain chemistry has changed. The amount of light that we have now in the UK, in Norwich, is much less. Daylight hours are less, and so it's affecting the amount of serotonin produced. So I have to combat that. I have to preempt the hell that's coming or may come. And shall we say, calm the fire down? So, like, when you talk about certain subjects, it triggers people, and it stirs a fire within you as well. Although these subjects are important, I think we have to, at least I have to, especially now coming off medication and trying to be healthier, mentally and physically, spiritually healthier, financially healthier. I have to forget about these things. But the thing is, a lot of people think, once a racist, always a racist. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. Once a right-winger, always a right-winger. Just because you believe in things like the retainment of traditional values doesn't always mean you're a right-winger. And just because you're interested in communism or read some books or whatever, and you used to be a liberal or whatever, it doesn't mean you'll be that in the future. We're constantly changing. We're fluid, aren't we? And it's good. That's what the Tao Te Ching or the Tao Te Ching says. There's nothing as constant as constant change. So where does this leads me to making some new videos and see how they go. So I want to make videos that relax people. The hypnosis channel will hopefully help people relax. You'll get me talking, and you'll have Oh, battery power down to 15%. So you have a nice scenery like the woods or something, and I'll be saying something like, all I want you to do is to just relax. No one's wanting anything, and no one's needing anything. All I want you to do is to just relax. Relax your body, mind, and soul. I have to get into the mood. At the moment, I feel like laughing. Because I'm a kind of Jekyll and Hyde character. I'm this rough one here, and then I can be this calm and relaxed and more transcendent person here. So I feel I have to move more into that vibe, because now I'm coming off medication. I have to protect myself and can't be too excited and too anxious. Do you guys have two personalities? I see. Yeah. So, as I said, I'm going to go into hibernation soon and calm things down a lot, because I don't need to fuel that fire, that anxiety, because anxiety is going to start going up anyway because of brain chemistry. Brain chemistry is changing. And so I have to stabilize and start to calm things down. So on my hypnosis channel, you'll see more videos there. On this channel, I might make, as I said, more of those kind of spiritual videos, talking about maybe the Gnostic Gospels, the Gnosticism, alchemy, things like that. More spiritual things, more. And then I'll focus also on the shredding channel, the shredding toys. I have to really give that a go. But anyway, I'll speak to you guys later. If any of you guys are offended, I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend, I don't want any of you guys to have a stress, I don't want a trigger. Not because I'm afraid of you, but because, you care about people. You don't want people to suffer, So I don't want any of you to suffer because of me or because of anyone else, It's just a difference of opinion. And many times I just say things, I have problems with anxiety, and so I get excited as well, and I might say things, dumb things, Maybe not so dumb, but yeah. So speak to you guys in another video. Bye.